atomic gigantification was a sweeping Japan nation when along came a dude with an ultra attitude, a Kamen Rider who's the greatest kicker of Japan. And of all, man, life's too short now, baby, to not talk big now, baby.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Kaiju Conversation. I'm your host, Elijah, and joining me, as always, my lovely co-host and editor.
Hello, I am Rex.
And we are back at it again for another bonus episode. This makes 3 bonus episodes in a row. At least from what we've recorded. We don't know if the second one's going to come out before or right after this one. But it'll be in this time frame. So if not, it's out there. It's done. So yeah, we're here to begin the exciting month that, I mean, it's not technically a themed month because like 2 episodes this month are not based on the topic.
Shh. We don't need to tell them that.
Okay. Well, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we are here.
Famed, but not famed.
Yes. We are here to talk about some exciting Godzilla stuff. So this is the beginning of a themed, not themed month of Godzilla month, where we're going to share some love for the Big G, the guy that kind of started everything in terms of the show and kind of what we like. So, you know, this is the least we can do to give back to the Big G and Toho and all of those people. So before we get into that, Rex, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty all right for the most part, you know.
Good.
Not much really happening today.
So we're here to talk about a specific day.
Could it have been yesterday?
It could have been as of this recording. Maybe. So we celebrated arguably the best holiday in the history of the world.
Mm-hmm. The only one that continues to remain relevant.
Yes, it will never not be irrelevant. It will always be relevant. And that, our dear listeners, is Godzilla Day.
Yes, November 3rd.
So, to understand what Godzilla Day is, I'm going to hand it over to Rex here, and he's going to explain to everybody what exactly is Godzilla Day.
Well, does it really need any introduction to listeners? It's the anniversary of the full release of Godzilla 1954, which had its premiere in October of 1954, but fully released on November 3rd of that year.
And, I mean, in all fairness, Godzilla Day didn't really become a thing until 2019, correct?
Yeah, 2019 or 2020.
I believe it was 2019, because this is the 4th. So it'd be 2019. So back in 2019, Toho started this thing where they actually celebrated Godzilla's birthday. Previously, they hadn't really done that. It was just kind of like a thing they did throughout the year, which is pretty typical. I mean, if you look at history's, you know, past anniversaries and whatnot, it was more of a yearly thing where they just celebrated throughout the year with little things here and there, movies and whatnot. And but now they're really starting to step it up. So back in 2019, we had Godzilla Fest, and not G Fest, not the American one. Godzilla Fest, FES. And
officially licensed.
Yes, officially licensed. And I'm trying to remember what... I don't remember 2019 G-Fest much.
I don't remember anything about it. I know they did a 2021 that was mostly online, pretty much entirely online, and you had to pay for it. Yeah. Oh, that's right, because that was 2020.
Right. 2020 was, I mean, in all fairness, even though like COVID-19 was an awful thing, it did help Toho kind of figure out how to do this bigger than what it actually seems kind of celebration. because with 2020, or following 2020 and 2021, we started seeing Godzilla fests like internationally.
Yeah, they started actually like I don't remember if they actually streamed the 2021.
They had to have because of the hetero short.
I remember them releasing the hetero short online. I don't recall them streaming. I don't recall it. But they still had the event nonetheless.
Right. And,
2022 was kind of when it became more serious, at least in the Western side.
But 2021, that was where GVG, Godzilla vs. Gigan, had its reveal, right? The initial gemstone, like...
I mean, it was uploaded to the YouTube channel back as far back as, like, 2019.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because 2019 was when... Wasn't that when Zebraman and G vs. G...
Yeah, because both of those were submitted as part of like the Gemstone Godzilla contest.
Right. And so, that stuff was celebrated, and then, we had the Hedera short and the Hedera celebration for hers, technically. It's what was that, the 50th? Yeah, that was the 50th.
Yeah.
And then last year we had Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex and Godzilla Fest 3. Is it Gigan's...
It's like Gigan Attack or something? Gigan Attacks?
Yes. Gigan Attacks. Which was another short film, and that also, historically, was where they formally announced Takashi Yamazaki directing, writing, and doing the visual effects for a new Godzilla movie.
Yes.
Where we got
the G. That.
And it was revealed it would be released November 3rd of 2023 on Godzilla's birthday. And then they just moved on. Like, that was at the beginning of the show, and they were like, and we're done. Moving on.
Yeah, here's your teaser image.
Isn't Godzilla cool? And, like, they just went off on... and did other things.
And then the stream died for like 5 minutes.
So that was pretty big, but it also didn't feel nearly as... The 2021 one, I feel like there was a lot more announcements that year. I feel like it, because I seem to remember critiquing that it just felt a little less big. Like there was a lot more announced for Hedera, and like in that on that day than previous.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really remember that one particularly well.
I seem to remember critiquing that. I feel like I said that.
I definitely remember 2022 though.
Right. Well, we did cover last year's. So if anybody wants to know what actually like we thought, there is a whole episode devoted to, that day last year. And so, but just, that happened. And then this year, there was a lot more hype. They were doing marketing for Jet Jaguar, and a ton of stuff, which we will dive into. So this year, of course, Godzilla -1 did release in Japan in theaters. And we're going to talk about that, but that was the first thing. But they also revealed for next year, they revealed the 70th anniversary logo, which is the iconic kind of back shot of Godzilla 54 looking down on the ground, silhouetted into 70th. Which they have a whole little animation that's, very akin to like the Marvel Studios logo.
Actually, that's a good comparison. Actually, I didn't think of it, but yeah.
But it's cool. I like the opening logo. It's a little basic.
It's fine.
But
at the end of the day, it's just branding.
It is. It's just branding. It's not like the Toho trademark logos for the kaiju that like have this novelty to them. It's just a logo.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
But speaking of branding and whatnot, one of the biggest things that Godzilla Day is it's a time for merchandise. As we all know, Bandai has a huge grip on the franchise, and they have for decades. I always think about how Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah actually bombed at the box office and lost money, but because of toy sales, they justified it. So, it's one of those things where Godzilla is a toy brand, more so than a franchise IP at points. But we did get quite a decent amount of announcements. And part of this is because while there's the Godzilla Fest stream, which is streamed on YouTube, it's a guy on a stage, which last year's...
Kasai.
Thank you. Last year, he stood in this, you could tell they amped it up, because last year he stood under this little tent, and he had maybe a 72-inch screen behind him and this tiny little stage, and he would walk there, but that was it. But this year he had a full blown those when I as an American, I think of, okay, when you have somebody perform at Times Square in New York, they have this stage, they have this huge screen behind them with lighting, and they have a decent sized stage.
Right.
That's what they did this year. Which is pretty jarring when you watch last year's stream in contrast to this year's stream and think, man, this was only a year difference.
Oh, it was kind of jarring for me, even having not rewatched last year's stream. I'm like, damn, this feels different. I don't know if I like this. I feel like I like this a little less, but I guess it's bigger.
Right. It's one of those things where you can really tell within just the last year, Godzilla as an IP has grown tremendously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, merchandise. There was a fair bit of that announced, as always. Outside of the mainstream they had going on, they also had a secondary stream for merchandise, the Godzilla Store TV stream.
Right, which is where we did get a lot. And then here in America, at least, we also had on our technical Godzilla Day, we also had a lot of merchandise. So, and before we get too far in, I mean, we're about 10 minutes in so far to this episode, but I do want to give the quick disclaimer: we will not be covering everything.
God, no.
I mean, there was an 8-hour stream for Godzilla Fest and then an 8-hour stream for Godzilla Store TV. There's a language barrier. Even though we understand very little Japanese, there's still a language barrier.
Yamazaki just showed up at one point and was just borderline showed potential spoiler artwork for -1.
Which we'll talk about later. And then you have at least a dozen companies. You have Mondo, you have Boss Coffee, you have Ghost X Ghost, Pucky, the Godzilla Store US, Mondo, X
Overlords
Plus,
at
Bandai, Marusan, SH Monster Arts. There's so much.
Even Bagan made an appearance.
You have Godziban, you have shorts made for the stream itself. You have a ton of stuff. And for us to record about it in this short of a time frame and have 20 hours of research we would have to do and then translating on top of that, we can't cover all of it. But we will be covering a good chunk. Just the highlights, the stuff that listeners who are like us, who live in America or Australia or maybe another English-speaking location might understand or recognize or be interested in. So that's what we're here for, and that's what we're going to talk about. And obviously, we're going to start off with a bang. So I want to talk about easily the coolest piece of merchandise announced during the Godzilla Fest stream.
Is it what I think it could be?
I think we're thinking the same thing.
We are. This is going to be pretty sick.
I love it. I wish I could buy 5.
Why stop at 5?
That's a good question. And of course, we're talking about the announced, officially licensed Godzilla Kiryu wrench.
Yes. It's a wrench.
With Kiryu's face on it.
Yeah. That I didn't even see at first.
So, like, I don't really, full disclosure, merchandise, I buy it. I just buy whatever. Like, it's all cool. I don't really have a lot of thoughts, but I think this is funny. I mean, it's on par with GodzillaFoods.com with absurdity and
Right.
a waste of money, but I would totally buy it. So, like, I'm guilty too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's only 2,420 yen, you know. Not too bad. It's affordable. Yeah, that was announced, and that's all there is to it, but there's something very amusing about it.
There's a novelty behind stuff like that, you know, like
it's like how there's like you can buy Evangelion merchandise of quite literally almost anything.
Right.
You want Evangelion wrench, you got it. You want a Evangelion full tool set, you got it. You want an Evangelion washing machine? I'm 90% sure it does legitimately exist.
See, but like there is a novelty to this stuff. Like the reason, like it's weird stuff that you wouldn't expect, right? And sometimes that stuff's the coolest.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly the stuff that's always interesting to bring up.
Right. No, it's like I have this obscure like when we talk about this stuff, I think of our friend Danny DeMana of the Godzilla Novelization Project. He has a squeaky hammer that's made to look like King Ghidorah from Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And it does squeak. And it's stupid. It's from an obscure anime of a popular franchise that's never, that really hasn't had a lot of exposure. And it's a squeaky hammer toy. But it's cool. It's so cool because of how just random it is.
I'll take your entire stock.
Exactly. Like, that stuff's cool.
But speaking of cool, there was also various other merchandise announced. Oh, in terms of miscellaneous stuff, how could I forget? The stream started with our host Shinsuke Kasai promoting the Chibi Godzilla hat.
See, I wasn't there for the first 2.5 hours. Because I was at work.
A good chunk of like the beginning, he was just wearing this goddamn Chibi Godzilla hat.
Well, so in my experience, he likes to get all of the apparel stuff and just wear it on stream.
Oh yeah, he kept changing his shirts to the various things as they became relevant. Like he went to a Megalon shirt and then to a Jet Jaguar shirt and then other shirts I can't remember.
He wore a Monarch shirt at one point.
Oh, did he? I don't remember.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I can't go back and check because the stream is currently not up.
Which we'll talk about at the end. But even, I mean, like I said, I wasn't there for that, but I know at least on the US side, we did get quite a few announcements from Mondo. Like, Mondo announced they reissued the King Ghidorah Tiki mug, but it was the concept, the blue Ghidorah. And then, of course, we had some vinyls. We had Godzilla 2000 with artwork by, I think that was Attack Peter, if I remember correctly. And then Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, which I don't remember who did that art, but that looks beautiful. And then there's, variants for the vinyl. You can get different colorways on the Godzilla store, US, or, the Mondo website. Then there's the Eco Lab vinyl, which is just your basic vinyl. That you can order as well. It's a little cheaper. So stuff like that's cool. And then I know Waxworks just teased that they're doing more. They didn't specify, but they did say they were doing more. So that's exciting.
Okay. Good to hear. Yeah, outside of that, there were also various T-shirts announced from Cavity Colors announced and revealed a couple -1 shirts.
Which,
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. So the Godzilla Store US website also had some Godzilla -1 shirts. They had 3, which were made specifically for the opening day in the US. I would rather wear those than the Cavity Colors ones, truth be told.
I mean, they're kind of just the renders.
Right. Well, in all fairness, so like the Cavity Colors ones, one is just the render with the logo, and the other is just the poster but textless. And then the Godzilla Store ones are just, if I remember correctly, they're just renders, but like some of them say, is it Onewa Gojira?
Arega.
Arega.
Mm-hmm.
Gojira, which is that Godzilla, of course. And then it says like a film by Takashi Yamazaki, opening day, December 1st, 2023. And then there's one with like his footprint, and it's like, no, I don't know if it's not tie-dyed, but it's kind of a colored shirt. I mean, Rex, if you were to have been able to purchase those or the Cavity Colors ones, what would you have went with?
I'm going to be honest, I don't care enough to... I look at them, I'm like, oh, neat. Or, mid. I don't know, I think the Cavity Colors ones have nice-ish colors and they kind of pop, so maybe I'd get them, but I don't think either of the shirt designs are particularly all that appealing to me personally.
Okay.
Outside of what they're branded with.
Right. But if you had to pick one, like if you were...
I don't know. Honestly, I would probably get the Cavity Colors ones.
Ooh.
I mean, hey, look at it this way. It's better than some of the shirts that Tsuburaya is selling.
This is true. Tsuburaya sells some that are pretty...
Literally just the poster stuck onto a shirt.
I mean, the acid wash t-shirt's kind of cool with I think it's the back. It's got it's basically the Cavity Colors ones, just with
that one's alright.
Godzilla render and the G.
That one's alright. But like either way, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not thinking about it much, because like if I'm gonna import merch, I'm gonna import different merch.
That's fair.
Like, for example, I would rather import, if we're speaking -1, the just announced record of Godzilla -1.
Right. And there's a couple of reasons why you would want that.
Yes, that is a 400-page book that will go into great detail about the behind the scenes and making of -1, including the VFX. And what's interesting is that with the first edition release, I want to say, they are including both an A2 poster of -1 and the storyboard book, which is something that I would be very, very interested in owning, especially after having now seen, because I watched some of the behind the scenes for Godzilla -1. I've seen some of the storyboards and they look really cool, and I'd be curious to check out the rest and have that storyboard book.
I definitely wanted to. I just don't know.
See, the problem is the price.
Isn't it like $200?
It's not $200. Well, for you, it's certainly not. For me, it might not be far off. It's 13,200 yen. Sorry, 13,200 yen.
Okay, so it's about, what, 130, 140?
I guess. I don't remember how much the yen converts to the US dollar.
Fair enough. I mean, I've thought about it since you've brought it up, but I don't know.
Actually, it'd probably only be like $100 for you.
Well, then you got shipping.
That's true, I guess, but Japanese shipping is fairly cheap, at least for me.
The only problem is if you go on boat or if you go on airmail, that's a record. So unless it's packaged perfectly okay.
Oh god, it's less than $100 for you.
How much is it?
It's like $88.
Ooh, okay. Maybe
Hate you.
Maybe I'll buy that in December after I come back from my -1 trip.
Hate you.
But going back here momentarily to apparel, there was also like Pucky did some announcements for some more merchandise, just some jackets, I believe. Ghost X Ghost teased Space Godzilla and Hedorah shirts. The Godzilla store had some shirts and like a Godzilla Day patch. And I believe there was a few other things, a couple of other T-shirts that are available in the Godzilla store.
I own a Hedorah shirt, in fact, but I would buy a new one.
See,
looks good on shirt.
I'm getting to that point in my life where like I don't wear a lot of graphic T-shirts.
Same, but if I had to get one of like any character other than the G-Man himself, it would probably be like either Hedorah, Ghidorah, maybe Mothra, maybe, because I feel like those characters look good on the shirt.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, cool for anybody who buys this apparel stuff. Like, that's cool. I totally get it. I totally understand why some people would love to wear this stuff, especially like the cavity colors. It's just not my thing. Not my thing. I'll wear bright, colorful, crazy stuff, but I won't wear typical graphic tees.
But yeah,
I will wear Godzilla socks though. I have a couple pairs of Godzilla socks. I will wear those, and I love Godzilla jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I hope one day that I can get the. It's on the Godzilla store, and I've raved about the jacket. It's the. Is it a Sukejan? Sukejan?
I wouldn't know.
I'm trying to think. It is, yeah, a Sukejan souvenir jacket. The only problem is they're like $400.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to get one, I want to get one that's either a movie I really like or the colors look really good.
Mm-hmm. But I think we should move back to Godzilla Day. Was there any other sort of miscellaneous things you had left? Or?
No, and I will say this, on the Godzilla store website or the Godzilla website in the US, there is like this like go-to page that'll be like, you can see this and this is here and that's, this is announced and that's announced. Not all of it came out on time. Some of it did, some of it didn't. I know like the Funko Pops did not come out on time.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other things. I don't know, but for what was it, what I could find and what was like actually like easily viewable, that was really all I heard of and all I saw.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much all I saw as well from what I can recall.
What I have
written down.
In the action figure area though, there was a lot of other stuff that was really cool.
Oh yeah.
Should we, slide on over to the action figure section of the merchandise?
Sure. I mean, the elephant in the room is that SH Monster Arts Jet Jaguar was
right. We got
revealed.
Which I mean, everybody kind of knew that was going to happen,
right? But sadly, no Megalon.
No Megalon. Really weird because I mean, for 2021, we had a Hedorah. That also included its flying form and its tadpole form. No first landfall form, which is kind of disappointing.
I'm pretty sure it did come with that.
It did.
I could have sworn it had that as like a little accessory.
No, it had the tadpole and it had the head that popped out of the water, I believe. I don't remember the head though because I own the box. I own that, and I don't recall that being in it. And if it is, I definitely don't have it.
But yeah. And then the year after that, they announced it again.
Right.
I mean, granted, there's still a chance that they could what they could be doing is like Jet Jaguar now, maybe early next year they'll announce a Megalon, maybe. I mean, they finally did just a few months ago, they only just announced like a 1972 Godzilla to go alongside Gigan.
Right.
So yeah, there's a Gigan, there's a Godzilla. May not be quite matched perfectly to the movie, but you've got to show a Godzilla and a Showa Gigan, so for Showa Jet Jaguar, may as well complete that set and add a Megalon.
Right. Megalon, technically they could do a 73 Gigan because they are different.
Yeah, I know they could do like a 73 Gigan, a 73 Godzilla as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
But we'll have to wait and see. I might grab this. I still need to get the Gigan. I still haven't got 72 Gigan, and I definitely want to pick that one up.
I mean, to be honest, I haven't picked up a Monster Arts in a few years.
I actually just got one today, so.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, I got 2014. But no, I do hope we get a Megalon. I do. I feel like I don't want to wait another 10 years for them to like actually celebrate Megalon. Because this year was really all about
Jet.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little obvious. I mean, not only did Jet come back very recently with Singular Point,
right.
Who, I mean, it was basically his show. And like, I'm pretty sure
he fights Godzilla and is the one that defeats him.
Right. And wasn't Jet also, didn't he appear in Godzilla?
Probably. I mean, everyone's appeared in Godzilla. Literally, Bagan has appeared now. And like during the Godzilla store stream, they literally had Godzilla and Bagan show up and terrorize Gamera.
And then, with Godzilla Island finally showing in the United States, like there's a lot of Jet Jaguars in that. So, I mean, there's been a lot of Jet stuff. And Super 7, they've done a lot of Jet stuff.
Everyone loves Jet Jaguar.
Everybody loves Jet Jaguar. So it makes
Jet
sense.
Jaguar.
They do.
Especially at the Godzilla Fest this year.
So, like, it makes sense that they would celebrate Jet Jaguar. But it's kind of disappointing because Megalon just hasn't got anything.
Right. I mean, he's gotten some things. Like, he got a short dedicated to him.
He got a short, and he got a Super 7 reaction figure very, very recently.
Hey, look at it this way. At least he got acknowledged.
This is true. Speaking of like surprise things, we did get the reveal of a prototype for a Maru-san Destroyer, which very surprised by that.
Mm-hmm. Looks pretty neat.
It does.
Alongside a new Yuji Sakai variant, I think.
Yes.
Of his Godzilla 1993 30 centimeter.
Right. It's an older sculpt. It's from like 2018. Mm-hmm. It was a garage,
just like an atomic breath version.
Well, yes and no. So the original version was a garage kit, and X Plus took the model and made it into a 30 centimeter X Plus with, like you said, the atomic breath fins, and it's a Godzilla store exclusive. I found out recently that they plan every year to release 2 Sakais, one in like the summer and one on Godzilla Day. So that was this year's Godzilla Day reveal. I mean, I don't collect X Pluses, but it's cool, I guess.
I would like to eventually get one of the Sakais and then call it a day.
You could get the -1. What is that? It's smaller. It's not an X Plus, but it's smaller and it's got the detail.
What, like the Ichiban Kuji?
Is that what it's called? The little -1?
I believe 9. I believe that's the Ichiban Kuji. Yeah, it looks all right. I want to get something -1 eventually, but I don't know what I'll get.
I fully plan on getting the SH Monsteroids.
It does look pretty sick.
It does. But after we brought up the Maru Sun Destroyer, we also got from Mondo. They did 3 Safubis. They did an Attack Peter Mechagodzilla variant, which had just been it's been announced, but they released it. They had a Aztec variant Godzilla that was royal blue, looked really cool. And then they also had the Super Godzilla, Space Godzilla Safubi, which that was just a special colorway. All of these were colorways for their respective molds for their Safubis.
I mean, they've done a few Space Godzillas from what I understand. They've done like the Trendmaster's color, the Super Godzilla, the regular, and there might have been one more.
Yeah, there was a pink glittery one. I missed out on the trendy one. I wish I could have got that though, because that looks beautiful, but there's no way you're going to get one for less than $250 now. Because that sold out in like a few hours.
I'm not surprised. Everyone kind of loves that Trendmaster Space Godzilla.
Oh yeah. There was also that fucking expensive ass statue. That's what you call, like, I have a literal thing here that is just it's quoted and it's from you. This is what you called it, like word for word, verbatim, like that fucking expensive ass statue.
I mean, can you blame me though? It's like 3.85 million yen,
which is like $2,500. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's limited to 10 pieces. It's a lottery item that will be through late November, early December. They're all hand sculpted, hand painted. It's like a 54 Godzilla painted in blue with some Japanese kanji characters on it. And then painted on him is King Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla, Rodan, Mothra,
Gigan, etc., etc.
It's beautiful. It's got a golden base it stands on. It's beautiful. Like that thing when it was on stream,
it looks pretty cool.
I would absolutely buy one if it didn't cost the price of a car.
I mean, hey, there's always the option of selling your liver.
Or maybe a kidney.
Now that's a really good option because you only need one to survive. Remember that. Right. So, yeah, that other one's just like, if you've ever fallen upon hard times, there's a free get out of jail quick card.
Get out of jail quick card?
Yeah, you ever played Monopoly?
Yeah, it's not a get out of jail quick card.
Get out of jail free, whatever, same difference.
No, one says you'll get out quickly. The other one says it's for free.
Potato. But yeah, no, that statue does look pretty cool, and it's if it wasn't so expensive, then I would consider. But I don't have 3.85 million yen to spare.
Likewise.
And that's not all of it for merch. Outside of that, they also, Bandai had a few more reveals of a flying Hedorah, a Manila, and a Godzilla 1964A, and some variants of both the Godzilla and Anguirus 1955s. Said variants are based off. I want to say it's not the Memorial Box version. It's the 2-pack where Godzilla is like it's like a 2-pack where Anguirus is like has his face burnt like at what happens in the movie, and Godzilla's frozen. It's an old Bandai pack. If you've seen it, you'd know.
The Toy Dream Project set. Yeah, from 2008. Yeah, because the 55. So the 55 is based off the Memorial Box sculpt. You were right with that.
But in the original set, the Anguirus was just a 68 sculpt.
Mm-hmm. With a red red
Whereas
paint
this one is a brand
on
new
his
mold.
face. Which I didn't know about that, so that's actually really cool. I'm happy.
Well, you didn't know about that set?
No, I'm not too well versed in older Bandai.
See, I'm not really. It's just I've seen that set before.
I mean, that's better than where I was with that stuff.
Whatever. But yeah, I think that's everything I've got written down. My notes are a bit of a mess, admittedly, so I don't think I'm missing anything.
Yeah, that's really all I had seen of like worthy like acknowledgement, at least, or just like what people probably would be interested in. It admittedly is pretty cool. Either like no matter what, that's all of this has been really, really cool. I definitely would pick up some of it. Like maybe like the 64A in Manila. Stuff like that I'd probably pick up. The others maybe not so much.
Depends for me. Depends if I saw it. Depends how I feel like if I see it in person.
Right. It would because that's absolutely like part of it too, is like if it's like if I found it in person, is it, how expensive is it? What am I feeling?
I never would have expected
on that day
Godzilla figures, but I saw it in person once. I saw those like 3 Bandais all together, and I'm like, I gotta have these. Yeah.
So you bought them?
I still love them.
Nice.
They're pretty neat. So yeah, it just depends on if I really see them.
Right. No, I totally get that. That's kind of where I'm at too.
But no, either way, they look cool, and I'm sure like people who fully into collecting Bandais, gonna love at least most of them, because most of them look pretty good. It's pretty much all the ones.
Actually, I just saw there was also a Hedera colorway variant, the Bandai.
I swear, there's always a new Hedera variant.
There is. There was also two. There was also 2 reaction figures from Super 7 announced. They were glow in the dark Megalon and a glow in the dark Godzilla 1974. And then there was a few like FYE things as well. I'm just kind of scrolling through here, seeing what all there was, and yeah, there's definitely a few other things that were announced. But that's the bulk of it.
Yeah. Yeah, outside of merch, where do you think we should go next?
Well, I would like to switch gears to talk about the Megalon short film.
Godzilla vs. Megalon, eh?
Now, I think you're a little more versed in the whole gemstone thing, because for me, it's just like, I didn't even know they were like a thing until, like, I hadn't seen G versus G until after Gigan Rex came out. So
I'm not terribly familiar with it. I know that gemstone. So it's like gemstone was like, there was like this creators audition, which is like it's something that was put on by Toho in partnership with this other company called Alpha Boat, I believe, just to sort of discover various artists in different industries. And they launched one in around 2018 that was themed around Godzilla, and so various different shorts were submitted. I want to say the guy who did Great Buddha Arrival, I want to say his name is Hiroshi Yokokawa. I could be slightly messing up the name, but it's something along those lines. He submitted like Hedera Silent Spring. Godzilla was originally submitted to this before it became bigger. And G versus G from Takuya Uenishi was submitted to this. Eventually, Gemstone expanded and Well, we ended up getting Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex last year, which is essentially a sequel to the original G vs. G short. And this year we got its sequel, Godzilla vs. Megalon. All of which have been directed by Takuya Uenishi, who is a Japanese VFX artist who works for Takashi Yamazaki, or the company that we kind of know for its association with Takashi Yamazaki, being Shirogumi.
Huh, I didn't know that.
He's actually worked on Parasite Part 2 and Yamazaki's Ghost Book, or Yokaipedia.
Interesting.
And he did modeling for Godzilla and Shin Godzilla as well.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Like, I'll be honest, all I really knew about was it was a fan animation initially that won, like you said, and they just every year seem to expand upon it. And this year we got to see Megalon appear in what's probably his coolest outing. Gigan, I mean, the short's only about, what, is it 11 or 13 minutes?
The Megalon
something
short's about
like
10
that?
minutes in total, including credits.
10 minutes? Okay. So it's not very long. There's not a lot to it.
Right.
But we do get to see Megalon look really cool. It's all CG. It's all animated.
There's live action bits in it.
The humans and I believe some of the cityscape was definitely live action.
I mean, they got this actress. I want to say her name was Miho Okamoto from the Toho Cinderella audition. She's like one of the winners of the Toho Cinderella, which is where like a fair few of Godzilla's female actresses have sort of gotten their first bit of big exposure. Yeah. It's like Yasuko Sawaguchi, who was in 84. Masami Nagasawa, who was one of the Mothra twins in Final Wars and Tokyo SOS, and would later appear in Shin Ultraman. And I want to say Minami Hamabe, who's in -1, was also a Toho Cinderella winner.
Interesting.
Yeah, she won the New Generation Prize in 2011.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, Miho Okamoto was not necessarily any of the winners. She was one of the finalists of the 2022 Toho Cinderella audition.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And she plays a Mu Cetopian, whichever, version you want to go with. Agent? Person? Queen?
Yeah. One of those.
That wakes up Megalon. And
who just so happens
Megalon
to be
goes...
living right under Toho Studios.
And so Megalon, wakes up and Godzilla's attacking Tokyo at the time. And they fight. And then we just get this fun, kooky, crazy fight.
We get the drop kick.
With a drop kick, and Godzilla gets like nuclear punching powers.
Atomic punch.
Atomic punch. He go punch, punch, punch. And Megalon has, they bring back the like grenade spitting, but it's cooler. I like this version of the grenade launcher from his mouth.
It's pretty neat.
And then his Ghidorah beam becomes something that's kind of like it traps whatever it's shooting, and like it wraps itself around. And then he has like this super drill that is when he combines both of his hands, and he can like drill better, I guess.
Yeah. It's more powerful, but it's kind of useless against Godzilla.
Yeah, which I will say, the thing about this Godzilla is it seems like all the shorts, it's just Godzilla gets a power-up or he just gets up and uses his ultimate atomic
his
breath
white
and
breath.
wins the day.
And it happens really suddenly in this short.
Yeah. See, I didn't.
I was just going to say, like, it didn't even register with me at first.
Mm-hmm.
It happened so quickly. It feels like the fight is, like, kind of just getting into... Not that it's just getting started, but, like, we're kind of just about to get to the beginning of the end. Like, the actual climax of the fight. And then it just ends immediately.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like Godzilla versus Gigan Rex that felt like they had the full fight. But a lot of that, I think, comes from the fact that for some reason they felt like they needed to do some establishing shots at the beginning of Godzilla vs. Megalon, in contrast to Godzilla vs. Gigan Rex, where it had a narration and then it just went right into the action.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a little weird. It was a little weird. Some of the shots of the people reacting just felt there to say, hey, we increased our budget this year. We have extras. We shot on location. And it didn't do a whole lot for me. I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. The power of a short film all comes from the allotted time you have and what you can do in that time. If you try to do a full-fledged story in 6 minutes, you're not going to make it. You basically have a minute to set up everything and then 4 minutes to do that setup and then a minute to conclude and show your credits. And I definitely felt like this did not understand that. Now, granted, it's longer than 6 minutes. It's about 11. I think it's like 10:57.
10 with credits.
Which, in theory, would work. 10:12. I just checked the exact runtime is 10:12. So you've got like a minute and a half worth of credits. So you're already down to 8 minutes and 45 seconds, roughly. And they spend the first like 3 minutes trying to set up nothing. Because the princess, the only thing that she's relevant is she gives Megalon a second life. And then that's it. Like, all the other establishing shots are kind of pointless. Like, they don't need to be there. The first 3 minutes of the short are almost pointless. Really, the story of Godzilla versus Megalon doesn't get relevant until about halfway through the short film, which doesn't work. At least for me, it doesn't work. And like, if you're gonna set up anything, why is Godzilla suddenly the villain? Wasn't he the hero in the last one?
I mean, it's Godzilla, to be fair. He kind of always switching from hero to villain, especially since it's implied to be a continuation of the Heisei era.
Right, but also to that point, they, in the last one, they like made it very clear that he was the savior. So why is he suddenly, like, you know, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it just doesn't make sense. I don't know if it's supposed to be in the same universe as Godzilla versus Gigan Rex.
Megalon is literally being powered by the corpse of Gigan Rex at the beginning.
Oh, that's right. But see, that's like, I'm going to be honest, until you pointed that out, I didn't put 2 and 2 together.
I didn't notice it on first viewing, but that was also because of the stream.
But they don't really do a lot with that. There's not a lot of, like, the setup is so, like, just there and doesn't do a lot. I don't know. I mean, Megalon's great. Megalon is great. The animation looks, I mean, the textures are great. The actual animation's sometimes not good. or just too stiff for my liking.
I think it was an improvement over last year's.
I agree. Gigan Rex's animation was very wonky.
Yeah.
But I definitely think they still have a lot to work out when it comes to the gemstone animation.
Sure, but I think this is still a step in the right direction overall.
Yeah. I think if they're wanting to do the more like this is an animated short film, they need to get it to about 15 minutes so they can do enough of a story setup.
I definitely think the runtime is holding them back because they clearly want to do more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to do more, but they're not making it happen because they don't have the ability to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, next year I'd love for them to do, I mean, I think it's almost obvious they'll make it King Caesar.
Depends on, yeah. I mean, who knows? Typically I'd be like, oh, yeah, Toho. Like what I was thinking originally was, yeah, Toho will do the Mechagodzilla short. For the Suitmation one, Gemstone will do King Caesar. But now, at this point, I don't know what they'll do.
See, I feel like they're going to do Gemstone as Godzilla versus King Caesar.
Mm-hmm. I think it's possible. And I mean, it would make more sense if it's a Heisei continuation, because, yeah, there's already a Mechagodzilla in Heisei.
Right. And with the setup of the Jaguar short, I feel like they're setting it up to be Mechagodzilla, which we'll talk about when we get there. But I definitely think that they're going to put the secondary characters, which we didn't get the logo reveals like we did last year.
Yeah, that's what
last year. Didn't they do
something I found a little odd? No logo for Mechagodzilla or King Caesar. Which I think is really surprising for Mechagodzilla in particular. Because it's his 50th.
Because, I mean... And, I mean, Mechagodzilla was in Godzilla vs. Kong. He made a brief cameo appearance in Singular Point. He's one of the big five. He was in Ready Player One. He's the only Toho Kaiju outside of Godzilla to appear in more than one Hollywood production. Like... Why is that? And he's the only Toho Kaiju to appear solo outside of Godzilla in a Hollywood production.
Right.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, I partially do wonder if it's because in 2018, with Godzilla City on the Edge of Battle and Ready Player One, they were labeling that as, quote, the year of Mechagodzilla. So, like, they had a whole, like, merchandise push for Mechagodzilla and, like, some, like, odds and ends stuff. So I do wonder if because they did that literally less, like, as of this year, it's only been 5 years since then, they're not going to push that. But you still have King Caesar, right? Like, you still have King Caesar.
Right.
So if you're not going to do Mechagodzilla, you've got King Caesar.
I mean, hey,
if you want to be picky,
you could do a 51st anniversary for Zone Fighter. It's not too late.
You could do, I mean, if they're wanting to do kaiju in the Godzilla franchise, you could in theory do fake Godzilla.
Maybe.
I'd love to see a fake Godzilla SHMA, just saying. I'd love that. I'd love for that, a 74 SHMA and a
promo suit
SHMA fake Godzilla. Like, boom, perfect. I'll buy it. I'd buy that for $1. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I would like to see King Sar show up next year.
King Sar?
I said King Caesar.
King Sar. Yes,
no, I said Caesar.
You said King Sar.
I said King Caesar.
Stop trying to gaslight me.
You're gaslighting me. I said King Caesar. So I mean, overall, like, it's good for what it is. It's a step in the right direction. There definitely still needs. I think we need 15 more. We need a total of 15 minutes.
I will say,
just add 5 minutes.
I will say, the version of the Godzilla theme they used during the main fight, banger.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
That is a banger version that I need to hear that more.
That is my second favorite rendition of the Godzilla theme I heard on Godzilla Day. Do you have anything else you want to say about Godzilla versus Megalon, the Gemstone short?
No. It was neat to see some of the concept art and like behind the scenes. So during the after it was shown off. Is
there anything you want to share from that?
Not really. There was concept art of Megalon that kind of looked like Legion from Gamera too. Huh. It was a bit odd, but neat to see nonetheless. And yeah, I hope to see them do King Caesar next year. It seems like they, since they kind of left this one off on a cliffhanger, for even a little post-credit scene, I'm going to presume they'll be coming back next year for at least one more.
I'm trying to remember, what was the post-credit scene?
It's just Godzilla waking up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
because he passes Godzilla out after the end of the fight.
Right. I mean, maybe they could have the return of Space Godzilla, because it'll be Space Godzilla's anniversary next year, too. They have Ghidorah. It is Ghidorah's anniversary.
Ghidorah 60th,
oh!
You didn't realize that?
Well, now the short suddenly makes
why do you think
more sense? Huh.
I'm surprised you didn't realize this.
It's Ghidorah's anniversary, so... Wait, so why didn't we get a Ghidorah logo?
I don't know.
So, I mean, they could do Ghidorah, they could do King Caesar, they could do Mechagodzilla, Space Godzilla, technically Baby Godzilla, or Mogira, but it's not the original, so probably not. And Kaiser Ghidorah. Or the Mutos, if they want to be stupid. Interesting.
Could do Zilla's anniversary.
But I do want to kind of take a step back here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the theme in Megalon, and I said that was my second favorite theme for the day. My favorite comes from the banger of a coffee commercial from Boss, which they always knock it out of the park with theirs. They did the Haruo Nakajima tribute commercial, and they did like a whole like Godzilla 54 short, which looks beautiful. It looks amazing. This year they did a commercial, but it was a little different. It's the best clip show ever of but the editing on it's insane. Like the amount of time that it probably took them to find each of those frames.
Oh yeah, that would have been painful. I saw that and I just felt bad. I just felt bad for the editor.
Because that was all of the Showa films, all the Heisei films, all the Millennium films,
-1.
Shin Godzilla, and then -1. So
yeah, and then at the end you get a little bit of suitmation with that 54 suit.
Mm-hmm, and they brought that back with the best rendition of the Ifukube theme I've heard in a long time. I love that rendition. But before the suit, we do get a little bit of the happy birthday song with a birthday cake for Godzilla's 70th. Godzilla steps on it, and that's where we see the suit and Godzilla being awesome. I love this commercial. This is my favorite Boss Coffee commercial.
I don't know. I prefer the Haruo Nakajima one, I think. I think that one's my favorite.
That's a close second. I love that one. There's just something about this one I love. I love it.
God, I want to see. I really want to see that Godzilla appears in Tsukugawa short though. Just every time I see like that 54 suit in action, I just want to see a full short with it.
Right, which I mean, there is, like you said, the Tsuburaya one.
But yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. I said the one you were said.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I'm genuinely surprised that nobody's leaked it out in the 5 years, 6 years it's been out.
But it is what it is, I suppose.
And speaking of seeing stuff that's old, I did want to bring up real quick that we did get a tease that Shin Godzilla might have a bit more life in him.
Oh, that's right.
And Rex, you were really excited with this, so I'm going to let you take this and kind of explain what happened.
I mean, you say I'm really excited. It's just basically during the izakaya, which is kind of like it's an izakaya. It's like this, sort of like going to the bar in Japan. It's a pretty common like social thing, but here they're just doing a little stage. So Yamazaki appeared on stage and had a little talk with the event's host Shinsuke Kasai, and during it, Shinsuke Kasai, I think, accidentally revealed that Shin Godzilla Ortho, which is essentially a black and white cut of Shin Godzilla that was shown in Japanese theaters briefly as part of like the Yamazaki selection of Godzilla showings in Japan, might be getting further release potentially.
Right.
We don't really know exactly what that means, but it's currently, quote, under consideration.
Which I'm not terribly surprised by that. I was actually expecting something like that to happen, truth be told.
I'm a little surprised.
I mean, Shin Godzilla is the most profitable Godzilla movie in this millennium, since the turn of the millennium. And it has been the face of the franchise for years. So the fact that, they're doing this and seemingly a lot of people have been interested in it. I feel like Toho would be crazy to not try to make more money off of it. So I'm not too terribly surprised.
It's the same Toho that Gigan, Godzilla Fest Gigan. Oh yeah, let's just not even upload that. Let's just show it on stream once, show it in theaters once, private it.
But now it's available.
For now.
We'll see how
long that'll be up for.
But the point still, I will say this. Toho this year is very different from the Toho last year, and you can tell. It's really weird. Because,
they couldn't... last year they had audio problems. This time, they just didn't even bother.
So, I mean, yeah, there is still some issues they're trying to work out probably with the whole thing, but just the way Toho's business practices is starting to change. It's altering because, like, we did get the announcement they were not doing 4Ks. Now we're getting 4Ks of everything that had a 4K transfer before the Tokyo lab shut down. They are working with other, distribution companies and with their own in-house distribution to get their movies distributed. And close, they worked on a subtitled track for this film, -1, of course. They're, bringing Japanese goods to America and whatnot. And they're really starting to spread in their licensing, and they're getting interest. They're building stuff up. Like Godzilla Day this year was way bigger than last year's. It was crazy. You can tell that Toho is working their way to make Godzilla the large IP they know it can be. Which, I mean, for that, there is both pros and cons. I mean, to that, yeah, you kind of lose the niche that it is. You and I both can probably really understand this because of where we live. Godzilla is a niche thing, but we're slowly getting to the point where you can walk into a Target or a Walmart, or, I mean, I know you have stumbled upon stuff in the wild, and it's becoming more common. You're seeing, now you can stream most Godzilla movies on official websites. Most of the films are available somehow. It's really weird. I mean, we're getting more theatrical releases of these films. We had Godzilla 2000 and Tokyo SOS and Against Mechagodzilla very recently. now that Janus has the rights, at least in the US, we're seeing, various, theatrical showings of those films. Rex, you're getting -1 the same time I'm getting -1.
Yes.
Germany's getting it with a German dub. Canada's getting it. The UK's getting it. Ireland's getting it. That's insane. And Toho's marketing it. And, they started the collaboration with Baiyi, so that you can get international, distribution of their merchandise and stuff like that. We're getting to a point where Toho is really trying to turn this into kind of like an anime franchise IP name, which tracks with what Toho International was, charged to do in the US, because they have a division for their anime and they have a division for Godzilla. And the goal is to make both of them kind of equal in their output, in their profitability, in their licensing. And we're seeing that. I wouldn't be surprised if within the next 2 years, they find a way to make it so Godzilla Fest also has the English version.
Possibly. I assume they were kind of toying with that idea last year, because they at least broadcasted on the English YouTube channel last year, but they didn't do that this year.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And we'll see if the official US account re-uploads any of the Gemstone stuff, with subtitles or not.
I mean,
we'll
the
see.
Gemstone one got as we were recording this, a tweet just came out that English subtitles have been added on the Japanese upload.
Really? So
Yeah.
Look at that. I predicted the future.
Not really, because it just happened already.
I predicted it. Oh, it was 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least that just goes to show Toho is definitely putting more effort into getting stuff out there, at least in the English speaking world.
Right.
There is still that lack of interest in Korea from what I've heard, and in China there's no announcements for any -1 stuff right now. Contrary to what the IMDb page says, I've fact checked it. It's very much wrong as of this recording. And there's some other areas where it's not there, but in Germany, that's a different story. Germany, they're doing that. And whatnot. So Toho is making an effort. And I would not be surprised if we continue to see developments and improvements on Godzilla Fest, on Godzilla Store TV and whatnot, and really trying to branch it out. Maybe we start getting Godzilla Fest here in America, where maybe we don't get the Godzilla Fest stream. Well, we would still get it, but we would have a Japanese stream. And then Toho International would do one to cover similar things, the following day.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, we don't know. We could very well see something like that. We don't know.
Hopefully, if they did that, the US version would fix certain issues.
I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. It's all up in the air. But I kind of got us off on this little side tangent here, but we do have another short film to talk about, and you were very excited about this one. You
Yes.
were talking about it a lot. So I'm going to once again hand this over to you so you can talk about it.
Yeah. So this year we got another one of the Fest Godzilla live action shorts, using actual Tokusatsu effects, suits, and miniatures. This time it's Operation Jet Jaguar.
So what is the synopsis of Godzilla Fest for Operation Jet Jaguar?
Well, Fest Godzilla 4, starts following the defeat of Gigan, as well as Hedorah in the previous two shorts. Godzilla is back to rampaging across Japan, except he has no one to match him. Thus, the Japanese government has decided to build a robot that can defend against this threat. Our good old friend Jet Jaguar. The two have an epic battle in the city when suddenly, before Godzilla is able to finish off this robot, he gets shot by lightning. And King Ghidorah appears, descending from the sky. Our two, Jet Jaguar and Godzilla, make amends and decide to team up against King Ghidorah. And we get a to be continued.
And then we get a title reveal, don't we?
Yes. Fest Godzilla 5, Kaiju Daikaiju, which roughly translates to like Great Monster Battle, Monster Great Decisive Battle, something like that.
Isn't it Kaiju Daisenso?
No, it's Daikaiju.
Daikaiju? Okay.
Yeah. If it was Daisenso, then it would be a reference to which film was that?
Astro Monster, I want to say. Kaiju
One of them.
Daisenso? Yeah. Because that one was titled Great Monster
Yeah,
War.
Daisenso Goju, yeah.
So I wonder if it's kind of a play on Sendai Kaiju Chukyu Saidai no Kessen, Three Giant Monsters, Earth's Greatest Battle. With it being Ghidorah's anniversary year next year.
Yes, as you finally realized.
Yeah. So maybe
when Ghidorah does descend, there's a noticeable tribute to.
There's a couple of tributes. I mean, with the flames turning into him, and then Ghidorah landing. There's some very obvious visual callbacks to the original Ghidorah, the three-headed monster.
Right, and hell, there's even a callback to the opening of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2.
There is, yes, with the silhouetted shadows on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm kind of so okay. Let me ask you this before I give some thoughts. I've heard some critiques of they should have solely focused on Jet Jaguar, and they shouldn't have ended with a teaser. They should have given Jet his own short, and then just do the short next year and not set it up.
I mean, the thing is, there was no world where I saw Jet Jaguar defeating Godzilla, but there was no world where I saw them actually having Godzilla destroy Jet Jaguar.
No, that would have horrified every kid that was at the event and given them trauma and possibly led them to not be happy with the franchise going forward.
See, what I was thinking was maybe could be some chance that even if it wasn't a suit, like a CGI Megalon would appear at the end. That was kind of my guess for what would happen, and the two would like team up and defeat it. And that's kind of what I thought would happen when the lightning first appeared.
Yeah. When we saw Ghidorah's beam, it was like, oh, maybe they are going to do Megalon.
But then they revealed GMK Ghidorah.
So, I mean, now that we've kind of talked about it a little bit here, I enjoyed this actually a lot. I think that this was the best short. Yes, far. This was the best short. It was the best shot. It had the best budget. Doesn't look the best.
Most energy.
Yes.
Gigan felt a little slow. Just in how it was like shot and edited. And I mean, there's a tiny bit of that in like one or two moments here where I think a couple shots linger a bit too long. But even then, I think that's because they're trying to sync. I think it's because they're trying to like keep it like the music sort of fitting with what's going on. I think that's part of why it's lingering.
Probably. Now, I will say, there is one huge criticism I have, and they need to fix this. Like, at this point, they have to. They need to retire that Godzilla suit.
Yes.
That Godzilla suit is looking ratty and awful.
See, as the number one fan of Final Wars, as cool as it is to see it again, that thing needs to die. It needs to die.
Well, no, it just needs to be retired.
You need to put it out of its misery.
Like, the suit this year looks ratty. Last year it didn't look...
No, it looked bad last year. It looked bad.
But it didn't look as bad as this year.
I don't think it looks any worse this year. I think it just looks bad.
There was a wide shot of Godzilla walking, and it was a lower angle shot, like head on. And in that shot, you can tell that
from the front
the suit,
angle, the neck looks terrible.
Not just the neck, the whole body,
and the legs.
The body is not holding form. The body, the whole suit is starting to literally sag down.
Yeah, no, it's looking terrible. Like, I'm really hoping if they have to do another, Kickstarter next year, please, a new Godzilla suit.
Mm-hmm. They need to. But I have a theory that to celebrate Mechagodzilla and Ghidorah, Godzilla's two biggest enemies, why not have them team up? That's never happened before.
See, that would be cool, and I don't think it's impossible. But at the same time, I mean, you never know. Maybe, I was going to say, I feel like, hopefully, this is more my hope than something I can reasonably guess, but my hope is that next year they do another. The campaign is for a new Godzilla suit, but you never know. Maybe they'll do a new Godzilla suit, and then maybe they'll bring back the Kaiju suit.
Maybe, because they could easily do a thing.
First, well, maybe not the first time since there's some commercials and pachinko games, but GMK Ghidorah is typically, in the film, he's associated with being a hero, but this time he's a villain.
Right. Well, because here's the thing. I mean, they could easily do a thing where Ghidorah is controlled by the aliens, and the aliens controlling him come down in a Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
And, they're fighting together. It would be a animal, a real living creature, and a robot versus a robot and a real living creature.
Right.
And, you would have, granted, Rodan is typically held as Godzilla's right-hand man, but Jet could easily fill that role.
Mm-hmm. And it's usually either Rodan or Anguirus.
So I could easily see them, do that. You have the two most popular robotic characters in the short, and then you have the two most popular kaiju.
Right. Yeah.
But they got to do something with the suit. They got to do something with that suit.
Please. I love that design, but please, it needs to be retired.
I will say this, the suit will have held up for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the longest a suit has been used. Granted, it's not been consistent. Yeah.
Because the Ghidorah suit's older.
Oh, that's true. That's been around for 22
years now.
It'll be 23 next year. Granted, the thing that's different is Ghidorah's had restored. Twice.
Because it looked awful before the start of the year. Before they did that commercial, it looked awful.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it got restored for the pachinko game.
Mm.
And then they left it.
Yeah, but now it's been fully restored, and it's got I believe the necks are entirely new, if I remember right.
They look new.
I'm pretty sure they're entirely new. I'm pretty sure the right and the right and left necks are way longer than what they originally were.
Well, they've been longer since 2008. Because they extended the necks for the pachinko game.
Did they? Huh.
Yes.
Well, it's more noticeable here, I guess. I've never really thought about it for the other one.
Yeah, no, you can tell they're extended in the pachinko game. You can tell they're extended in that commercial, and they're obviously extended here. So that was just something they did a long time ago, and they just never altered. They put those neck extensions in over a decade ago.
That's what happened with the original Ghidorah, pretty much. He got his neck extended in Astro Monster.
Right, and then they had to redo the wings and the heads for Destroy All Monsters.
I think they had to be redone for Gigan.
Was it Gigan?
Yeah, it was Gigan.
Okay. It was just the wings then for Destroy Monsters and then the heads for Gigan, and then
he looks awful in Zone Fighter.
and then that suit just died. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
It's good to know Toho hasn't really changed the way they handle their suit.
I mean, look, he's probably gonna. You can kind of. You could tell that Ghidorah suit has also aged, but somehow it still looks better than the Final Wars Godzilla suit.
They're gonna have to do some extensive restoring. I like before they do another short, they need to restore that, or they just need a new suit. Did you want to talk about the behind the scenes at all?
There isn't a terrible lot to say. I didn't really get a chance to learn a lot from it because I didn't understand most of what was being said, and I've only got to watch it once so far. But I did learn that Kenya Saito plays Jet Jaguar, and he is a suit actor that is previously he played Godzilla in the Subaraya Museum commercial. Godzilla appears in Tsukagawa, and he has also appeared in Kamen Rider Geats as a suit actor, and in every Sentai series from Kiramaja to the currently airing King Oja.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then Godzilla is played by the same actor as all the previous Godzilla Fest shorts. His name is Naoya Matsumoto. And then, of course, he had little cameos from Shinsuke Kasai and even Yuji Kaida at one point, although I don't know where he is.
Interesting. Well, do we want to... We're getting a little close to 2 hours here, so do you want to transition into Monarch?
Sure.
Legacy of Monsters? There's not a whole lot really here. We did get a soundtrack reveal with titles.
Yeah, the main title. I mean, they released the actual main title itself as well. Right.
There's been a lot of footage released. We haven't watched most of it.
Yeah, I don't particularly feel like having the... It's like I'm actually excited for this, so I don't really want to see too much.
Right. We also... So we got the name drops for 2 of the kaiju in the show. Endo Swarmers and Mantle Claw.
Yeah, Mantle Claw being like the big crab that we saw fighting the Mother Longlegs, and the Endoswarmers being the creatures that were coming out of the eggs. The ones that everyone kind of presumed were Mutos.
Yep, they are not Mutos, contrary to what some people who think they know say. They are not Mutos. But we also got some footage, right?
Yeah. So during the event, they showed off a couple new stills from the Monarch show, which actually had the reveal of a new actor. So we got a new still of Japanese TV host and businessman Hiroshi Ikushima is playing a presumably small role in the show as a taxi driver in some of the Tokyo scenes. And it was kind of funny because the still they showed was rather low quality and watermarked with someone's name on it. So that was bizarre, but also kind of funny.
Yeah, they seemingly just wanted to highlight the Japanese aspect of the show, which was cool because up until now, the only thing we've had in Japan is Janjira and then a 5-minute sequence in Tokyo.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we know a portion of the Monarch show will be taking place in Japan.
But we know Godzilla will not appear in Japan.
See, I'm hoping they retcon just to have him show up. Yeah, we're already retconning Skull Island, so yeah.
Right, somehow Bill Randa
2014.
And 2014. And Aftershock and Awakening.
Yeah, so.
And the novelizations. And basically, and there's no such thing as continuity. Let's just do it.
I mean, hey, this show looks good enough where I'm not even going to use that as a legitimate criticism. I'm okay with it.
So, did you want to bring up the stills? I mean, there was 2 stills released.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It's just Hiroshi Ikushima as a taxi driver and then a new still of the father of Anna Sawai's character, Hiroshi Randa. Or Randa, I guess, since I guess it's Bill Randa's son?
Yeah, it seems like Randa's wife will also appear, and their son is which is a little weird, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. I just have I don't know. It kind of came across as Randa was this kind of like weird person that definitely got bullied all through school.
Yeah, what do you mean he gets bitches?
Exactly. No, that's exactly what it is. It's like, are we sure this?
I buy Kurt Russell.
Yeah, but, oh yeah. Bill Randa. I mean, John Goodman's a fine person.
We love John Goodman here.
We do. We actually do. The dude's amazing.
Yes, he is.
And he's from my home state.
Oh, more you know. Yeah, no. Outside of that, we also got a little inside look featurette of Monarch.
Which is where all the footage that we have referenced came from. And it looks good.
Yeah, tons of new footage of a little bit of Godzilla, a little bit of the not John Carpenter's The Thing.
The mole
PTSD.
The mole kaiju?
Yeah, the mole that's going to give Kurt Russell PTSD. And yeah, a couple other things like the not Gyaos, the endoswarmers, the crab, etc., etc.
We saw there's going to be a fight with the Mother Longlegs and the Mantle Claw, which looks really cool. Like that felt like Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah.
I'm really wondering if maybe they took influence from Mysterious Island for the Skull Island stuff. I mean, the way that Randa runs away from Mother Longlegs is kind of like, yeah, this definitely feels like this is a Harryhausen-esque sequence of events. We got more footage of Godzilla.
Yeah, more footage of Skull Island as well, like the landscapes, and just in general, like the various different locations of the show. The show's got a good variety of locations. Like, there's the Antarctic area, there's the sort of like savannah or deserty area. Did I mention the Antarctic already?
Yes. Yeah. And then you've got Skull Island, you've got Japan, Tokyo, Japan, San Francisco.
Mountain ranges too, I think.
I think so.
Nuclear facility and all that.
Didn't they confirm that it's going to be didn't they say it's going to be kind of like every episode they're just searching for her dad and they run into kaiju? It's kind of like
I don't think they directly say that, but that's kind of what it looks like it'll be.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. I'm fine with that premise.
Right. I mean, it's going to be your basic, it's going to be your kind of typical like mystery searching for this person kind of show, but in the world of Monarch in the Monsterverse.
Yeah. But a bit closer to sort of what 2014 and Skull Islands
Monarch is supposed to be.
Yeah, especially with them. I mean, we've got a shot of like the characters being like introduced to Monarch, the members like welcome to Monarch, and it's just like a hallway with boxes around it, so it's clearly not what it was in King of the Monsters.
Right. And honestly, I love the fact that they're playing it off as more of this like Men in Black division of the government, but without the proper funding.
Right, yeah.
That's really cool. And I think partly why I like that is simply because it puts it puts the idea of Monarch kind of in the 70s and 80s. It kind of dates them as a company, a corporation, a branch of government.
Yeah, that's just kind of past its heyday.
Yes, which would make sense.
I think is perfect. I mean, that's basically what it was in Skull Island, and like we didn't get a lot of them in 2014, but like it's not far off from what they really were in 2014 either.
Right. And, you know, they do establish that, like, they were working in the shadows. But, like, that's the cool thing is, like, they weren't out in the open. You know, it wasn't like, oh, they're literally being interviewed in the U.S. Supreme Court about this stuff. And, like, I think it would have been really cool is, like, if they did that and it was, like, a ragtag group of them and they're just kind of, like, not answering a lot of questions and they're, you know, like the mystery. I mean, you can unveil the mystery and keep the mystery alive in universe, right?
Right.
But it seems like now that, like, Monarch just in general has become this very outgoing, very public government branch, which
I can understand, like, why you would go from where it was in 2014 to where it is in King of the Monsters. I can get how you can sort of go from that to there, but I don't know if it necessarily fits. It just kind of, it's jarring to look at what Monarch was in 2014 in Skull Island to what it is in King of the Monsters.
Right. Which, I mean, Doherty's, like, reasoning for that isn't entirely far-fetched. You know, he's kind of like,
I get the line of thinking that comes from it.
Yes.
Which is why I wouldn't even criticize it too much.
Yes. I just like the way they're doing it better.
Yeah, I like this Monarch better. And yeah, no, this show looks really promising. Pretty much everything I've seen is, yeah, just really promising. And I'm really looking forward to seeing it in less than 2 weeks.
That being said, I'm still not paying for Apple Plus TV. I have zero interest in doing that. I don't really have much more really to say. Are you ready to kind of end on the main event, the last chapter in the Godzilla saga?
Yes.
So Godzilla -1 has officially hit theaters in Japan.
Yes.
The widest release a Japanese film has ever had, the widest release for a Godzilla film, and it opened in 522 theaters November 3rd on a national holiday in Japan, and boy, has it done good.
So far.
So far. Yes, that is important to say.
Big asterisk.
So the film, and I'm going to pull up the information now. A special shout out to G-Man for helping with this information. G-Man is amazing with box office numbers. He is the man to ask about this stuff. And I'm going to pull it up. While I pull it up, Rex, why don't you explain what exactly is going on with the Godzilla -1 box office?
Yeah, so basically, -1 opened, and its first day performance was reported to be at 265% of the box office performance of Shin Godzilla's opening day.
Right. Which the exact number that would be is 455 million yen.
So yeah, hopefully, now granted, like Elijah said, the film did open on a holiday, so I imagine that definitely helped a bit. And of course, this is the widest release Godzilla film, but hopefully, I'm hoping the film has legs.
And
it's hard to say because Shin Godzilla, you know, it had a pretty, from what I understand, it was a fairly middling start, but it ended up having incredible, like shockingly good legs overall, which is how it ended up being such a big hit.
That's the big thing, is if it can last long in Japan. Now, thankfully, IMDb reviews, and is it Film
Marks?
Film Marks? Yes.
Yeah.
The reviews are very positive. They're like 4.5 to 5 star.
Hideo Kojima even liked the film.
I've heard from a few fans, mostly Westerners, admittedly. There's some dislikes.
Yeah, there's a little bit of criticism I've heard as well, or seen.
Now, I'm curious to see if that stuff will become the norm, or like what will happen. Tickets also went on sale for the US release. I'm not sure when tickets are going on sale for any other country because, I mean, everywhere else is getting it.
They were supposed to kind of fully go on sale on November 1st, but only some places have them for me.
Which is weird.
Yes. And rather annoying.
Yeah. But I got tickets. I'm going to see it on IMAX and at the pre-screening special event.
Hate you.
I'm hoping that they have like posters you can get or something, because like if you're doing a fan screening, you gotta have something, right? Like,
right.
You would think that if you're marketing it towards fans, you're going to try and make more money off the fans, because even if you do like a stupid theatrical popcorn bucket for $25, somebody's going to buy that popcorn bucket.
See, all you need to do is just bring over the theater exclusive stuff they were releasing in the Japanese theaters.
This is true.
But preferably not the theater pamphlet. Do not give that to Westerners. Do not give that to Westerners. I've already seen enough images. I've seen enough. I don't need more.
But we also, tickets went on sale. I'm going. Rex, I'm sure as soon as tickets are available, you're going to get tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this all came with the release of trailer number 2. Now, trailer number 2 is a trailer specifically for people in America and internationally.
Only being released on the American Godzilla channel and a couple of other American channels, like the IMAX YouTube channel and all of that.
Right.
And maybe also the Japan Society showing of Godzilla 54 in the US as well.
I think so. That's kind of what it was, either that or the TV spot. One of the two got shown. But it does, it's got all English subtitles. It's got English, transitional text. It is a English trailer.
Right.
It shows some interesting stuff. We see the child that Hamabe and Kamiki have.
Yeah, which I was surprised to see in the trailers. Like, you and I both knew about it because we'd both seen a little bit of behind the scenes of her. I've seen a little bit more than you.
I think was I the one to call that out though?
Yeah, you were the one to point out it was Hamabe's child, I think.
Yeah. We saw this Godzilla has kind of like a nuclear pulse with his atomic breath that the fins pop out, and then as he releases, it pops in.
Mm-hmm.
Which not only looks painful, but it looks like it's different, it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla will be getting down and dirty with some destroyers and whatnot, getting physical with them.
Right.
And there's clearly a government conspiracy and cover up here.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some more shots of them in the ocean fighting Godzilla.
Yeah.
At one point, they shoot a depth charge right at his face, which was funny. The CGI in some shots is not finished. There's some compositing and blending errors.
Yeah, in one or two shots, you can see a little bit of issue.
And I will say this: the fact that Godzilla's as movable as he is a little weird.
Right.
When he roars the way he does in the sequence that we know he's in, that's kind of weird.
What, in the shot of him roaring in the Ginza?
Yes. It's kind of okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a little weird, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's not a critique, it's just a little weird. And Hamabe,
I feel that's kind of just an inevitable thing with Japanese CGI, at least at the moment.
Right.
It's kind of, you got that issue of sometimes things just go a little too fast.
Yes. And then Hamabe, who's in that train that says the line.
I was expecting her to get out before.
Yeah,
Godzilla,
she's
just
in it.
swing by her.
So part of me wonders, like, I feel like it's going to be hard for her to get out of that scot-free.
See, I feel like that's going to be the start of the sequence. So I feel like she's gonna get out of that.
Right. It's like it definitely seems like it's this beginning. So I don't know. We're gonna have to see how she gets out. Like, she clearly is injured after that. Like, she's got bandages and whatnot. So I'd be curious.
I'm very curious about a certain bit of dialogue that is translated in present tense.
Is it about the child?
Yeah, but I could be wrong. I'm not an expert, but from what I could tell, the way he ends that sentence, I'm pretty sure he states that in past tense, that line.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, and I can guarantee you this is what's going to happen. During that's the Ginza, correct? I'm pronouncing
Ginza,
that correct? Ginza. During that sequence when they're like, what is that monster? And Kamiki and Hamabe are there looking for their daughter. Hamabe gets caught up in the train. Kamiki's...
See, I'm curious if it's actually like Kamiki's daughter. Like, I have no doubt it's Hamabe's.
Well, so my theory
I'm curious if it's legitimately like his actual biological daughter, or if it's like an adopted, like he's a surrogate father.
I think it is. And this is what I'm thinking. Partly why Kamiki is disgraced is because he had a child before he got married.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. We'll have to see. I'm kind of thinking it'll be an Eternal Zero type deal where it's like it's not his actual child, but he becomes the surrogate father
for like 2 weeks, and then because I'm guarantee you the reason why he like goes and fights him is because he's going out for revenge.
I mean, I speculate that the screaming. The horrified screaming of Kamiki could be in response to potentially that girl, or maybe even Hamabe dying.
Right. Well, one could die or both could die. Yeah. I don't see them killing Hamabe early though, because like
I don't see them killing her in this scene.
Maybe towards the end of the film.
Maybe. Honestly, I could see Kamiki dying.
I was about to say. I would be really, really, really impressed because in 54, we only see Serizawa die, but all of our main characters were in danger because they were all like right on top of Godzilla.
I mean, not only that, but it's kind of a sort of a trope in Yamazaki films for most of them in their endings to either have some sort of sacrifice or a bittersweet ending.
Right.
Like Returner is bittersweet with like, Miyamoto never being able to see Millie again.
But she saves him.
Yeah. The first Always Sunset film has a bittersweet ending. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm just going to say that. Eternal Zero has, the movie kind of spoils how it's going to end. It's a sacrifice at the end of Eternal Zero.
Well, Space Battleship Yamato, the captain. Parasite is more of a happy ending.
Yeah. But even then, that's still a little bit bittersweet with Migi.
Part 1. Well, part 1 is very bittersweet.
Oh, I meant also part 2 with Migi.
Yeah. That's true.
It's like Yamazaki typically doesn't end his films like in like the perfect way, the most ideal world.
Parasite Part 1 was perfect.
I mean that's not what I mean. I mean it perfect, like in the point of view of the characters.
Right. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
no,
even Ghost Book sort of is like that as well. A little bit.
Archimedes is a little dramatic irony with that, because our main character kind of subsides to the call of war, and kind of, in a way, his character, who he was, is dead. Which is kind of sad, and it is a very different, like, it's a surprising end. But even then, we think that we've been rooting for the right people, and then we get this like full like alternative plan, alternative motive, and everything we thought we were rooting for is killed.
God, Archimedes and Eternal Zero, not gonna lie, I kind of almost want to rewatch them.
So,
I'm tempted to rewatch Eternal Zero before -1.
Part of me does wonder, what if the little girl dies, and then Hamabe dies.
I think the little girl dying is a very real possibility.
Yes,
especially if I'm right about the use of past tense.
Because
from what I understand, he ends. So he says. So the word he used is at the end is to protect, which the dictionary form, the plain form, is like mamoru. And then he says, I don't remember the exact conjugation he does, but it ends in a ta, sound. That conjugation, the ta sound, that is typically used for past tense.
Right.
So that's my line of thinking on that.
Well, and then I'm gonna add on to that. If Yamazaki really wants to make this bittersweet,
if he wants to make this a real tragedy,
what if he pulls a bit of a Raids Again, and we have Obayashi, who Kobayashi, who goes in and crashes his plane to start the solution.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've been wondering. Like, is Kamiki going to do a Kobayashi?
Maybe not necessarily fly a plane. I don't know. He seems more like he was a part of the naval operation.
I mean, the thing is, the naval branch that he seemingly was from, based on like the first trailer. It's likely he was a pilot.
That's true. On battleships, not battleships, aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
But then again, those lost to the battleship Yamato too. But no, maybe Kamiki dies, and
maybe.
Like, I know there's been people have been questioning who's going to win. Like, are they going to keep Godzilla alive, or are they going to kill him?
See, I'm not allowed to comment on this because I got this spoiled for me already, and I hate that.
Well, I would love to see Yamazaki. Like, so far, this movie has done everything that I would say is "quote unquote" true, for the lack of a better term, for the IP. I mean, the times, what time it takes place in, the direct connections to things,
the
all
amazing
of that.
Cast.
The cat. Well, not. That's not like I'm talking
I don't care. I love the cast.
Like, in terms of tropes and metaphors and whatnot, and like, Godzilla is truly going to be a force.
Oh yeah.
I do know Yamazaki in an interview basically said that the way Godzilla is viewed in like the American films is this god, or no, as a monster. He's viewed more as a monster. But in like recent Toho films, he's been viewed more as a god. But Godzilla really is more like, and I don't remember, there's a term he used for a Japanese god. And he's half monster, half god. So in a way, one of the only things you can do is pray that he will go away. And so part of me wonders if, part of that is like a god really can't be killed. Like that's kind of the thought process, right? Like you can't kill a god. If you can kill a god, if a god bleeds, are they really a god? Because they can be hurt. So if Godzilla's half god, what if
it bleeds, we can kill it.
I was waiting for you to make that reference. If Godzilla's meant to be a god, what if he does win? What if the movie ends and it's the tragedy that is, in a way, what Oppenheimer also did? Ending with, we are the ones to set the world on fire. Like the way Oppenheimer ends, it's not this positive, like the war's over, we can move on. It's, we have unleashed the most destructive weapon on Earth, and this is what will destroy us. What if that is what they do here? But we also got posters! We got posters for 40X and IMAX. And they look awful.
Kind of made.
Like they're just the CG renders with like stuff over the top of them and filters.
Yeah, the IMAX poster I thought was a fan poster at first.
It looks like one.
The blue eyes make it look like a fan poster.
They do. So I'm not a huge fan of them. And that's, I don't...
40X one is kind of okay, but I don't really care for it that much.
The best poster was the one from the Tokyo Society screening of 50. Japan Society, sorry. That is the best. That thing is amazing. That will be what we use for the podcast square. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, spoiler alert. I've already seen it.
Just like how you've seen most of the spoilers.
Not yet.
Rexes.
I hate my life.
Speaking of spoilers, during the Godzilla Day stream...
but Yamazaki kind of did.
Yamazaki... Oh God! We can't really talk about it because, like, people probably don't know.
Look,
but we knew.
Let's put it this way: he showed some concept art for something that we
very clearly
of.
Looks like something else.
It looks like something that, if you're familiar with what happens in the movie, you might have a good guess on what it could be.
I tried to avoid everything.
Hey, at least you haven't actually seen an image of the actual
This is true. And I will continue to not do that. I have made it so I will hopefully not see anything else. I am going to try my hardest. I'm going to avoid Twitter. I'm going to avoid Instagram. I'm going to avoid Discord.
I tried, but
Well, you failed.
One misclick, and I saw it.
You failed. I, however, will not succumb to mortal desires. I will not succumb to Godzilla -1. Spoilers. Because I have waited over 2 years, I think, at this point. Maybe. I have waited over about 2 years for this movie. I was the first to write about it in the English language, and I will not be spoiled. I will go into this movie with virgin eyes. And I will come out...
ignore what Yamazaki showed.
Yeah. But in all fairness, it's concept art.
Already tainted your eyes.
But yeah, so that happened. And as soon as that happened, I told you I'm done. I was like, I'm done.
We were already worried as is.
I was like, should we do this? Should we be here? Should we? No! And I was like, no! And so like, and after that, I was like, Rex, I'm done. I was like, Rex, I'm done. I cannot. I must stop.
I was joking throughout the entire stream. Yamazaki should just put up a whole picture of this thing. I told you it would be the funniest thing.
I
wasn't
told
referring
you.
to, like, the entire stream. Like, just sometime during the stream, they just show an image.
But with that, I'm going to wrap up this section of Godzilla Minus One because I'm not going to deal with any more spoilers.
Yeah.
Now, before we give our final thoughts and our wrap up of this year's Godzilla Day, Rex, what was your favorite thing this year? Whether it was a merchandise thing or a short film or a poster or a teaser or a piece of information, what would you say is your favorite?
Probably the Jet Jaguar short, which is why I'm also going to bring up that my least favorite thing, as well as a little bonus, was the stream's audio, because they just used the goddamn microphone.
Mm-hmm.
So they were playing the shorts in HD, which don't look good because, you know, it's a live stream and it's horribly, horribly compressed. And then, the audio is absolute god awful because it's coming from, you know, it's playing through the speakers and then that's being picked up by the microphone on the stage. And so while the voices in the short sounds fine, the sound effects and the music, not so much. Hopefully they will fix that when the stream gets re-uploaded, but it's not guaranteed yet.
Right. Well, I mean, to respond to that, my favorite thing this year is the Boss Coffee commercial. Like, I love that thing. And the Godzilla theme in that is a banger. And I can't wait to hear what Naoki Sato did, because I hope it's something similar to that. We'll see. And if I was to pick something that I would say is the worst thing this year...
Is there really anything other than the audio?
My pick for worst thing on Godzilla Day was the lady who decided to keep driving and drove slow. Actually, I take that back for my favorite. The Boss Coffee commercial is a very close second, but my favorite thing was right after the it was right before the Jet Jaguar short film. It was right after the I don't remember. Oh, it was the Monarch thing. It was right after the Monarch thing, I think.
What was it when Jet Jaguar first appeared in Shinsuke?
Oh, no, it wasn't. It wasn't the part where they decided to stroke Jet Jaguar's thighs with a suit actor inside. That was weird. But right after that, I got to hop on and watch one of my favorite Godzilla movies with my favorite person to talk Godzilla with and one of my best friends. Me. And we got to watch Godzilla Final Wars, and honestly, it was some of the funnest. Like, I that's the most fun I've had watching that film in a long time. I had a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. And apparently I had so much fun that I got a bloody nose from it.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite thing on Godzilla Day.
All in all, a pretty successful day.
It was.
Yeah. Is there anything else to really bring up before transitioning to the shameless stuff?
Well, I mean, I don't know of what shameless stuff there is, but I do know that it is time for the most honorable of podcast traditions.
Right.
Yes. We don't do the shameless stuff here. That's copyright for another podcast that we can't talk about.
That's right. Yeah.
But for us, it's the most honorable of podcasting traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the self-promotional plugs. So if you guys have enjoyed hearing us talk about Monarch, Godzilla Day, Godzilla Minus One, merchandise, and you want to hear more, this is what you want to hear about. This is the most important part of the episode.
Yes.
So Rex, why don't you tell the listeners at home where they can find you?
Oh, dear listeners, you can find me on YouTube at Rexino, on Twitter at Rex_Xenomorph, where I'm currently less active, trying to dodge certain images, and on Instagram, Rex_Xeno. And if you want to check out some of my writing, go take a look at the Tokusatsu Network.
And as for me, hello, I'm Elijah, and I have a kaiju and tokusatsu problem. Joking aside, I am Elijah Thomas. I am a part of the rotating hosts for the Monsters with Attitude YouTube channel. You can check us out where we do monthly live streams talking about kaiju entertainment. You can also head over to Facebook and join our Facebook group. It's a great place to talk with like-minded people. I am also a writer. I have written for GodzillaMovies.com and appear in Kaiju Ramen magazine. I currently write for Kaiju United. My most recent article there is about Godzilla -1 and Takashi Yamazaki, which is a great foundational piece for anybody who wants to learn about Takashi Yamazaki or Godzilla -1. My writing has also been featured in the book Giant Bug Cinema, a Monster Kid's Guide from Bear Manor Media, where I wrote about Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. I'm also a filmmaker and YouTuber. You can check my stuff out on my YouTube channel, ET13 Productions, where you can see some of my short films, my old YouTube videos. Along with that is a playlist that features all of my appearances on YouTube. I do plan on getting new content out. I have some short films I want to post there. So definitely, stay tuned. That stuff will be coming out very soon. I also appeared in a kaiju movie, a little-known film called Zillafoot from 2021. I made a brief cameo in the film as Skywatcher number 2. It's got a rating of 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb, so if you want to watch more kaiju, you can buy the Blu-ray on srscinema.com or the DVD from any major online retailer, or you can just watch the film for free on Tubi with ads or on Prime if you have the Prime subscription. You can also check out my action figure photography on Instagram at ET13_productions and my X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, thanks Danny, account at the same handle. And as for the rest of this lovely podcast, it is time to let you know where you can help support us. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes. That boosts our ratings and helps us get recommended to more people just like you. If you don't have an Apple device, which I don't blame you, I don't actually, that's a lie. I'm literally looking at the text on this screen and it says MacBook Pro, so I'm using a MacBook right now. But you can rate us on Spotify now. That's a new feature they have you can do. If you want to stay up to date with all things Kaiju Conversation related, follow us on Twitter at KAIJU_CONVERS. If you don't have Twitter, you can follow us on Instagram or like us on Facebook at the same handle. If you're like me before podcasting and you don't have any social media, lucky you. You can email us at kaijuconversation@gmail.com, all lowercase, all one word, you know the drill. And as always, we'll read your reviews on air for everyone to hear. Now, I will say there's some feedback and some statements that we have been given, but because we haven't had a main episode for 3 weeks now, we haven't covered those. Next episode, that is an actual episode, will 100% include our feedback and what our listeners have said, so stay tuned for that.
Very soon.
We also have a Teespring store. Eventually, we'll have original artwork on there, but until then, you can sport our awesome logo on a t-shirt or maybe even a coffee mug. If you'd like to chat with us, check out our Discord server full of others that have similar interests to you. It's a great community full of great people. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload a video. I will say, we just posted, it was for Halloween. It was a special spooky surprise. And Rex and I had the idea of doing a Ring fan-produced version of the Sadako videotape.
Yes.
And so if you're interested in that, it's only like 2 minutes. It's not even 2 minutes long. It's like 1 minute, 47 seconds. Go check that out. We put in a lot of time, a lot of effort, a little bit of funds to make it happen. And I think it looks great. So if you like Ring, if you like horror, you should definitely check that out. And, hit the bell so you can be notified anytime we upload a video. We post exclusive to the channel, like bloopers for episodes or minisodes talking about news or other subjects. We also have an interview with Mechagodzilla designer Jared Kurchevsky on the channel. Definitely botched his name. I'm so sorry. But we also do monthly live streams and whatnot, so definitely check it out. A huge thanks to Rex for editing all of these episodes and all the other content we upload. His links can be found in the description below. Along with Rex, we'd like to give a huge thanks and shout out to Danny DeManna of the Godzilla Novelization Project for his amazing vocals on our theme song. You can support him by following him on Twitter at Daadzilla93_GNP or visit his website, GodzillaNovelizationProject.com. And a huge thanks to Grattan Conwell from the podcast Giant Monster BS for composing the music for our theme song. You can support him by following the podcast on Twitter at Giant Monster BS or on any podcast platform under the name Giant Monster BS. And with that, we're going to wrap things up here. So thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, please remember, life's too short to not talk big. Bye, guys.
Bye.
We are set, we are in debt, there's nothing to sweat. Life's too short now, baby. And not too big now, baby. Conversation. His name's Elijah, baby. And also Rex now, baby. We love those kaiju, baby. And you will too now.